soon, that horrible boot camp. And that's when we're going to have to really get up early. And then I'll be taking big old naps by 11 a.m. But now we get up at that 6:15 time I told you about, sometimes a little bit after that, like 6:30, and it feels great. And also, I'm going to be speaking this weekend actually at the church in Cincinnati. The One of the students in the Prime program, James Wilson, is actually teaching stock options to his whole entire church. And I thought that was the coolest thing in the world because the church is one of the great economic possibilities that exist in the black community. The black church, you shouldn't sleep on the power of the church. If churches are economically intelligent and you have leaders that have really good leadership skills, and you have good organizational structure, you can actually build massive multi-billion dollar economic empires out of the church. The Mormons have been doing it for the longest time. Does anybody remember when that article came out, when the Mormons they found out that they secretly had like $100 billion that they were just sitting on that they hadn't told anybody about? I don't know if y'all remember that, but it was a real big deal. It was on the cover of the Wall Street Journal. They were like, "Whoa!" And we thought y'all were just getting together to talk about God and stuff, and it turns out y'all are talking about money too. Like, which and the thing about it is that it's not that the two have to be disconnected. A lot of people think that money is always evil, and that's not true. That's not true. Money doesn't make people evil. If anything, really, the lack of money can bring out the evil in people. I mean, seriously, think about this. What are you more likely? How about this? If your kids are starving and you have no money and your family's about to be evicted, give me a yes if you would consider maybe doing a little dirt to make sure your kids get to eat. How many of you give me a yes, honest reflection? How many of you would be willing to go and shoplift at a grocery store? Not hurt nobody, not pull no gun out on nobody, not do anything bad, but says just do a little bit of dirt. Some of y'all would get real dirty. Some of y'all would get straight out muddy. But most of us would do a little bit of dirt to make sure that our kids can eat, that the rent can be paid, that our family's not going to be on the street. I know that I would. I don't ask me twice. I do what I got to do, because I love my family and I want to make sure they're good. So ultimately, I would argue that if you say that money is the root of all evil, then well, they always say the love of money is the root of all evil, which I can agree with that. I think the love of money is when you're spilling over into financial addiction. And addiction can be the root of all evil. Addiction can cause you to do things that are out of character, things that you don't want to do. So I would agree to some extent that the love of money could be the root of some evil, although I don't think the love of money is the root of all evil. And how about this? Pay attention now. Listen to this, a consciousness exercise. The love of money in the presence of poverty really is the root of evil. Think about this. If a person loves money and would do anything to feed that addiction to money, who's more dangerous? The person who loves money who's got plenty of money, or the person who loves money who ain't got no money? Who's going to be more dangerous to society? Who do you fear the most? The rich guy who loves being rich, or the poor guy who says I'm gonna get rich or die trying? Anybody remember 50 Cent saying that in his song, Get Rich or Die Trying? So the person that wants to get rich or die trying, that doesn't have what he or she thinks that they need. I think that person, they're going to be more tempted to do what they have to do to change their condition. Whereas, a wealthy person who loves money, doesn't have to go out and do desperate things in order to get money or to fulfill basic needs. Again, it doesn't say rich people are wonderful people. It does not exonerate every terrible thing a capitalist does. None of that. But I really encourage you in your financial meditation, your financial mindset, consciousness process to really think about all these things. Think about how powerful money is, and this is why learning money is the most important thing that a young person can do, because they're obsessed with it. They need it. They want it. And then society just tempts them so badly. It's crazy to me, that they just they flaunt all this stuff in front of these kids. They ain't got nothing. And then they wonder why the kids do desperate things in order to obtain those things. Well, because you've been flaunting it. So anyway, let's get started here. Just a reminder tonight, you guys know we do free Powernomics training in the Black Business School. It won't cost you anything. You don't have to pay any money. All we need you to do is pay attention. We are giving you the secrets to the economic universe. If you want money, if you want to understand money and you want power, money and power, we understand what that looks like. So join us tonight. I will share the link. You can also text the word greatness to 87948. and I can send you a reminder when class starts. But here's the link also if you haven't registered for the Zoom, or you could just text greatness to 87948. We meet at 8:30 p.m. Eastern every Wednesday night. And this is the only place on that I know of that does Powernomics training to thousands of people every single week. And so I wish the HBCUs would do it. I wish that some of the predominantly white institutions with intelligent black students would do it, because this is what you need. This is what you have to have. This is what you need in order to be successful if you're black in this country. You need Powernomics. You need something that's going to give you real power. You got to stop begging. You got to stop folding. You got to stop sitting back waiting for things to happen. You're going to have to be ready to fight. You need your economic warriors. You need your people that are ready to get together and raise their level of thinking and improve their habits, set high expectations. This is what we do. This is what we believe in the Black Business School. So there's that link if you want to join us tonight. All right. So one thing I want to start the conversation off with, in terms of a financial consciousness exercise, is I want to bring your attention to Exhibit A, which is going to be on the screen in a minute. And I want you to tell me when you see this man's face, I want y'all to let me know. I'm going to instantly know who's a football fan and who's not. Who is that man? Who's that? That pasty guy in the middle, the melanin deficient guy. He's a nice man though. He's melanin deficient. He ain't got what we got, but he's all right. What's his name? Type his name in the chat. Who is that guy right here in the middle? Can y'all see the image? Okay. All right. So somebody says I don't know Ginger. I know Ginger don't watch football at all. Okay, so that's Nick Saban. So for those who don't know, Nick Saban is the I think he's the winningest coach in the history of college football, and he's also the highest paid. His salary is about $11.7 million dollars a year, or that translates to about $1 million a month. So he makes a ridiculous, insane amount of money coaching college athletes, and because he's damn good at it. He's good at it. I love watching his team play. He's one of the best. He's goat-like in his behavior, and I have tremendous respect for this. Now, here's what I want to mentioned, and this is why I'm bringing him up today on our money mindset financial consciousness training. So CNN wrote an article about the testimony that Saban just gave before Congress. And what they're talking about is the current landscape of college sports. So Nick Saban, the coach of Alabama, who makes 11.7 million a year, went before Congress and he spoke about the shifts in college athletics. He talks about what's happened since players started actually making money instead of just, sort of being left to just figure it out. And as you know, it's evolved. Players like LeBron James's son, Bronny, I think he made $6 million on his name, image, and likeness deals. You have Deion Sanders' kids, I think, are making millions of dollars each. And so the branding aspect of sports has led to this massive financial windfall for athletes. Now, back in the day, I don't know if anybody else was like this in college, but back in the day when I was in college, athletes were always hungry. They were broke. Every now and then it'd be a big scandal because you see a player driving around in a Mercedes, or he'd have extra money in his pocket that came from the boosters. They had to kind of sneak the money to him, kind of like how they had to sneak and teach the slaves how to read. They had to sneak and get the athletes a little bit of money just to keep them happy. And so, but now that's changed. Now a lot of the athletes, especially the top ones that have big brands, are able to go make money, and even the athletes that are not top athletes, even at Kentucky, I remember the players could sometimes get these summer jobs where they would just go work for a car dealership. And the fact that they were even working at the dealership meant people would want to come and buy cars at that dealership. So they would make a lot of money for that, right? Because branding matters, having a big name matters. So Saban was speaking at a roundtable in the U.S. Capitol, and here's what he said. And I'm going to read his quote, and then I'm going to give you some context on this and speak on this issue, because this is an important financial consciousness training in terms of understanding where the wealth goes in the Black community and how we should view these things, or how we might want to. It's something for consideration. I'm not telling you what to think. It says here, all the things that I believed in for all these years, 50 years of coaching, no longer exist in college athletics, Saban said. It was always about developing players. It was always about helping people be more successful in life. That's good. I like people to be successful in life. That's the reason that I always like college athletics more than the NFL, is because you have the opportunity to develop young people. I want their quality of life to be good. I think, as I said before, name, image, and likeness is a great opportunity for them to create a brand for themselves. I'm not against that at all. But to come up with some kind of system that can still help to develop the young people, I think is paramount to the future of college athletics. And then he mentions that his wife felt very uncomfortable with the fact that they used to have a Sunday dinner where they would invite the players and their mothers to their house. I hope that they invited the fathers too, and they would just talk to them about how they were going to take care of their kids and make sure their kids were good while they were at Alabama. And his wife said, "Why are we doing this? This doesn't make any sense because all they want to know is how much money they're going to get. All they want to know is how much am I going to get paid?" Now, here's what I want to lay out in terms of a context for this. So I've been speaking on the issue of college athletes getting paid for about 20, probably almost they're almost about 28 years now, about 1995, 96. I wrote a lot of articles when I was at University of Kentucky on this topic. I was a PhD student at the time. Actually, I was getting my master's in mathematics, but I was teaching, at the college level even back then in the 90s. And it caused a little bit of a ruckus. The players, a couple of the players told me that the coaches didn't want them to read my articles, which I thought was very strange that they would tell you not to take in information that's I believe is going to benefit you, but they would read them anyway. They said that they would sneak and read the articles and stuff, and that was a big deal at Kentucky. I think they made about $20 million a year from the athletes, and on to be quite frank about it, money would get under the table, so they would get a little bit. We knew the basketball players were getting hooked up, but we also knew that the coaches were the ones who were getting these multi-million-dollar contracts. And I explained just very directly. It was very easy, very simple arguments, like explaining two plus two is four. I explained exactly how athletes are being screwed because number one, you're taking their money. Number two, you're taking away their ability to get a good education. Because I tutored athletes who would tell me that they don't have time to study because of their football schedule, or they couldn't pick a certain major because their basketball schedule interfered with that. And I said, you're claiming that they're amateurs, but they're really not amateurs. They're actually professionals. Because if they were really amateurs, then you would put their academics first, which they clearly weren't doing. And then the third part, as I said, as a black man, I'm deeply offended because I know that I see their families and I see the star player who's playing in the championship game. The white coach, him and his family are flying in on a private jet. They got a mansion and a yacht. They got these box seats. And his mother can't make it to the game because she's got to go work at her job at Wendy's, or she can't afford a bus ticket to drive all the way to California to see her son play. I said, this is apartheid. This is really a version of economic apartheid. Lots of money's coming in. I can count. I know how to count, and also having a PhD in finance probably made me a little bit of a threat because I know where the money's buried. My economic consciousness is very high. So as much as you can tell me that a scholarship has a lot of economic value, I said the economic value doesn't match what they actually are earning for you. It's nowhere near that. So here's what I kind of wanted to kind of address on this in terms of understanding what I consider to be the subtle racism of all this, and sometimes not so subtle. We're gonna do a consciousness exercise. I'm gonna ask you a few little questions, and remember this. My mother used to say that the way you can tell if a deal is fair is if you switched roles, would you still take the same deal? Meaning, like if me and my sister had a cake and my mother said, "Okay, I want you to cut the cake and share it with your sister." Now, I was the big brother, so I was probably gonna do what a big brother would do. I'm gonna cut the cake and take the biggest piece, right? Because I was the biggest, I was the big brother. I could do what I wanted. So what my mother would do is she would say, "One of you cut the cake, and the other one gets to pick which piece you want." Do y'all follow this? Give me a yes if you follow the logic of this, where this kind of ensures fairness. It says, okay, well, if you cut the cake, then she gets to pick, or if she cuts the cake, you get to pick, and that puts you in a dilemma. It's like, damn, now I got to be fair. I can't cheat because if I cheat, then I'm cheating myself because she's gonna take the biggest piece in this. Like, oh my god, right? So I would say that this would apply when it comes to college sports. So I'm going to ask you this: what if you took away? Remember, Nick Saban makes $1 million a month. That's from salary alone, not endorsements, not the extra stuff. $1 million a month coaching college football. What if you told him, well, you know what? If the deal's so great, then what we're going to do is we're not going to pay you anymore. We're going to give you lots and lots of scholarships. You and your whole family can all go to college for free for the next 30 years. Your grandkids, all y'all can have a free tuition. Do you think that, yes or no? Do you think Nick Saban would take that deal? Do you think that he would say, yes, absolutely, this is awesome because the deal is fair and I'm very happy to take the other side of the deal? Yes or no? What do y'all think? Okay. Okay, well, let's try it again. Let's try this consciousness exercise again. What if they told Nick Saban, you know what, instead of getting your salary, we're going to give you, you said development of young people is really important. We agree with that. So what we're going to do is instead of paying you, we're going to give you personal development because everybody has to develop, not just young people. So we're going to give you lots of personal development. We're going to give development of young people for your kids. Your kids, we're going to develop your children. Do you think that he would take that deal? Do you think that he would say, yeah, I need other people to develop my children because I can't do it myself. And this is I'm no, notice I'm sliding into what I call paternalism, or what the term paternalism. It's I'm not the only one who calls it this, but that's what it is. It's a racial paternalism because it's interesting to me that one of his arguments is we develop these young people, and I get it. I have nothing against it. I think that college is a place for personal development, but I really am sitting there trying to figure out, don't they have parents that also are playing a bigger role in their personal development? Like, what is it? I honestly, I'm going to just say bluntly, it's mighty white of you to think that they should pass up millions of dollars in income for whatever fairy dust you sprinkle on your personal development process that we can't possibly do ourselves. I mean, really, again, now I get it though. I admit I'm like Tom Brady. He's a great football. In case you don't know football, Tom Brady's just a beast at it. He's so good, and I'm a little bit Tom Brady-ish because Tom Brady saw Deion Sanders' son driving the Rolls Royce, and he said he needs to get out of that Rolls Royce and get his ass in the gym and get in the film room and start work. I'm like that too. I'm like, wait, you're 20 years old. What are you doing in that Rolls Royce? Part of me is kind of like, I'm not used to that. That doesn't make sense. But then the economist in me says, well, there's this thing called free markets. And in a free market, whatever you're worth is what the market will eventually pay you. So Shador Sanders, the son of Dion, and a lot of these Bronny James and some of these other individuals have brands that are big enough from an economic standpoint that somebody felt like it made sense to pay them millions of dollars. People don't give money away. They didn't give them the money because they're nice. They gave them the money because their brands are revenue generators for somebody else, and it made sense as an investment. So who the hell am I to say you don't deserve to be in a car like that because you're only 20 years old? I can't say that. I can't say that. I understand the flaws of it. I understand money. I understand financial psychology better than almost anybody I've ever met. I understand what money does to your mindset. I understand how money is a drug. Money will destroy you if you don't have character developed properly. And I also understand this. This is important. 20-year-olds, their brains aren't even fully developed. So when they get a bunch of money, they do a bunch of crazy stuff with it. This is one of the reasons why I believe that the breakdown of the family, is one of the greatest crimes ever committed against black people in the last 50 to 100 years. I only say 50 to 100 years because before that, the crimes were even greater than the ones that they're committing against you now. But the breakdown of the family creates this vacuum where Nick Saban, this benevolent white guy, a little bit paternalistic, who feels that it's his job to develop black people. He feels that his role is important because he's probably thinking to himself, all these black guys that are coming in to play football for me, that most of them don't have a father in the house. Do you follow what I'm saying? That he's probably thinking like, okay, most of them, are being raised by mom and they don't have a man around, and I'm gonna be that man. I'm gonna be, and then the players graduate and they leave and they say very nice things like, well, Coach Saban, since my daddy went to jail, Coach Saban was like a father figure to me, right? And that's what they do. So what concerns me, what bothers me about a lot of this is that this is kind of the interesting dilemma of a white supremacist society, is that they will destroy and destroy the family and then make themselves the replacement for the family. Right? They'll get rid of the father and then say, well, we can take over where he wasn't here because he's not responsible. So, well, we got you, right? So Joe Biden is really your daddy. Nick Saban is your daddy. Now, no, whatever, right? And again, I'm not. I know that this sounds radical to some of you, and if you don't get everything I'm saying, if you don't agree, that's okay. I just want to lay out something for you to consider. And so in a way, it reminds me of the exterminator who puts a bunch of roaches in your house and then comes by and says, I'll spray your house for $50 or $200 or whatever, right? Because they put the roaches in the house. So I'm not just gonna pay you to exterminate my house and then say thank you for clearing out the roaches in my house. I'm gonna say, but you put the roaches in the house in the first place. I wouldn't even have to have this conversation if you hadn't done this. So again, not to say that all of the world's problems are Nick Saban's fault, but this very paternalistic idea that that it's bad for these families to get millions of dollars. Like my family gets millions of dollars. My family gets to think about money. My family. Let me ask y'all this question. Let's to make it clear. Do you think, I mean, as much as he loves the job, as much as he loves the kids, and I believe he really cares about them, I really do believe that. I don't think he's a bad person. Do you think he would do that if he were working for free? Do you think that he would trade salaries with the players? Yes or no? Do you think that if they said, well, we're going to give you the exact same amount of money that your star running back gets, the difference is that he has to go out there and get brain damage. He's going to have CTE. If he doesn't already have it, he's going to have brain damage for the rest of his life, headaches and memory loss and all that because he's taking all these hits to the head. You don't even have to do all that, but y'all going to get the exact same pay. Do you think Saban would say, well, that's a damn good deal? I get exactly what he's getting, and I don't have to get brain damage in the process. Do you think he'll take that deal? So here's what I simply say, and this is why I don't have a lot of friends. This is why I anger most white people. I scare and anger most white people, and I'm disliked by about 60% of all black people. Right? I just am. I can't, I don't know how to be a nicer person about this. But I say if it's good enough for you, then why can't we have it too? If the deal is good enough, if the deal is a deal that I should be taking, why can't you take the same deal I take? Why can't so that you're telling on yourself now. You're revealing that this is not a good deal because I did the mama test. You cut the cake, you split the revenue. I get to let me pick which revenue I want. And do I want to get the coach's money or do I want to get the scholarship? And y'all know good and well, we all know this is America. We know good and well that not only is this a bad deal, but what you got to understand is that from a structural standpoint, you're extracting billions of dollars out of the black community every year. This is where your black wealth goes. This is why black wealth is not what it's supposed to be because of systems like this. That again, if you're coming to Powernomics class, you've seen all this. You understand the origins. This is why Dr. Claude Anderson is so important, is because he explains the origins of these systems and why we were trained to be so subservient to other people that we end up depleting ourselves. We deplete ourselves. I'm gonna share this last story about Saban that made me think about this, and then I'm gonna move on. And I had some stats on NCAA revenue. I don't have the stats anymore. I can't. There's something, but it doesn't matter. Just imagine billions of dollars going to white people. Um, I remember one year Saban had won a championship. He's a damn good coach, and the team was always Alabama's one of the best in college football. I'm an Ohio State guy, so I'm a little biased, but Alabama's good. Um, and after he won the championship, there's always these storylines they share in broadcasting because the story is what sells the show. And the story that they were telling was the story of Nick Saban's star running back, and I don't remember his name. I can't remember if it was Derrick Henry or somebody else. And he was basically saying that this kid, his father was in prison. His father had been in prison and that he didn't have a father figure. And it almost seemed to feel like they were almost sort of describing the story as if this black boy would have been nothing and would have been in the streets and would have been struggling had Alabama and Nick Saban not stepped up and saved his life. And I remember feeling deeply irritated and offended by that story because I said, but you're also robbing him. This kid, he's the reason everybody watched that game. He's the reason they won the game. If he's the reason that everybody watches and he's the reason everybody that they get to win, why isn't he getting money just like you're getting money? And this is also a function of what I refer to in the book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. I talk about this as a type of economic immaturity that is thrust upon the black community to some extent. And it's also a type of economic immaturity that we accept. We accept this idea that, oh, thank you so much for giving us this scholarship. You get to make the business deals. You get to talk about money. So when Nick Saban's wife, perhaps naively, says, gosh, it's so frustrating with these meetings now because all they want to talk about is how much money they're going to get. I was thinking, well, but when you sat down and talked to them, you were asking about the money you were going to get too. So if you have the right to do that, then why don't their families have the right to do the same thing? So fortunately, we're at a point where what I think doesn't matter, what Nick Saban thinks doesn't matter. and Saban was mentioning why he retired from football because the game had changed, and that's okay. That's a natural evolution of things. The game has moved past you. We're in a new era. Younger coaches are going to understand this, and there's nothing radical, ridiculous, unfair, or strange about athletes being paid for their labor because that's supposed to be what happens in America when you are an employee. I think he retired. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he didn't. I think, or maybe he's saying he's going to retire. I thought he retired, but Angel, I could be wrong. Forgive me if I got that wrong. But really, and here's the thing: I think that we can make this argument without making it as if I'm mad at Nick Saban or mad at his wife. I like what they're trying to do. And this is again something a lot of people may not agree with me on, but I almost feel like white supremacy and structural racism victimizes everyone. I think that it victimizes a lot of people who are not black too, because they'll step up and really feel like they're doing the right thing. They'll step up and say, "No, no, no, I'm not racist. I'm an ally. I really want to help these people." And you don't understand that racism runs through the fabric of our society to a point where it's so deep and so subconscious you don't even know when you're a participant in structural racism. You have to really meditate on this to really see what's going on. So I just want to make that clear that I'm not saying Saban's a bad guy, a crook, or a terrible person. I'm just saying that you expect this result for yourself, and you're accustomed to expecting this result for black people. And I don't think that that's accurate or fair at all. If anything, they should be getting more than you because they're the ones going out there putting their children's lives on the line, getting paralyzed, brain damage, all this other stuff that they're getting, bodies hurt. Have you ever seen what happens to some of these poor football players? Like they'll be 35, 40 years old. Their brains will be like the brain of a 75-year-old from all the hits to the head. Like they got these guys 35, 40 years old getting Alzheimer's. Look it up. Look it up. That's crazy. They're almost like veterans that have PTSD. Again, I like football, I really do, but man, I mean the evidence, woo, is saying that football ain't good for your health. Boxing too. Thank you. I agree. Boxing also. I don't know, but again, that's hey, I'm from Louisville. I love Muhammad Ali, so that creates the paradox. We love the sports, we love to watch it, but the consequences are also real, and we have to think about that. Okay, so don't forget tonight we're doing the Powernomics train. I mentioned that earlier. Also, if you're in Prime where we generate income by selling stock options, we're going to have a meeting. I believe it's going to be next Monday. I will text you all the link to join. If you want to join us in Prime class, just text the word options to 87948. And if you text options to 87948, I'll send you the link for when we're coming to class. If you're registered, you can come in there. Also, just another announcement in terms of things happening in the Black Business School. We have a guy named Ace Chapman who is coming in as a guest lecturer who has actually made millions of dollars acquiring businesses. So that's what he does. He just goes and he buys businesses, and he likes to sort of own the business without actually doing any of the work. So he'll buy the business, leave the founders in place. And I was like, how do you do that? And so he ends up raising money. He ends up raising money to do this, and it's amazing. So he's going to come in and do a training on this. So just stay in touch with us, and I'll make sure you get that information. Now, if you want to send questions that I can respond to, I respond to them via video. If you log in at drboycedaily.com, there's a link there at drboycedaily.com where you can send me your question. I'll do a video and I'll respond to the questions, and I'll text that video out. I have to get caught up though. I got to go in there and do that. So that is there as well. So all right, so let me pull up a slide or two